Jesus, in our gospel this morning, is teaching us through this whole time how to wake up and be aware, how to no longer walk in darkness. He's teaching us how no longer to be the blind, and so that the blind will no longer lead the blind, but somebody might wake up and lead. We need to become aware. And there is working within every single one of us something that has been apparently implanted by God so that we might become more aware, first off, of who he made us to be. Of course, one of those enduring questions for every person throughout their life is, who am I? Never fully answered. And another is, who am I to be? What am I therefore to do? And one of the means by which God gave us a manner of answering these questions is actually an inner dynamic working within us that actually we can call projection. Projection. It's that tendency to see first something that is really a part of us and our inner world in the outer world. To see what's really within us first off in the outer world. That truly is just me and a part of my soul. This is projection. To fling out into the outer world what is truly my inner world. By recognizing that dynamic alone, we start to learn about who we truly are. Who am I? And you stop and ponder it and go, oh, boy, I don't have an answer. Who am I? What do I see and start to have as attitudes and judgments in this outer world? What attracts me and what repels me? The answer starts to come when you answer those questions and recognize that dynamic. Now, most of us actually continue to do this activity. It's an inner dynamic that you don't have to actually try to do. It's just happening all the time. It is God-given. We do it without thinking about it. We actually begin to embrace who we are in our lives and our souls through this almost intuitive recognition. And then we live out our lives more fully as we've recognized it. And when we do so positively, it is a great benefit to our lives. But unfortunately, as with any gift that God has given, it can be misused. And that's when it becomes a problem. Positively, this projection, we observe very often and clearly in children. Play is actually projection. It's one of the reasons we call children's play really children's work. They are working hard to learn about life and themselves in this manner of playing, which is actually projection. And due to this, we fact that Jesus says, unless you are like children, you're not going to enter the kingdom of God. It's not something that ever leaves us. We need to continue to play in a sense in this manner, but as adults, we recognize what the play is saying to us. The child, however, does it in a very just natural way. A child will take a stuffed animal and project into that inanimate object her or his own feelings and desires. A child may be feeling sad, but doesn't have the ability to say that, to even know it. What is sad? They may be feeling that sadness, but not even recognize it as their own and unaware of this. they're not able to express it but they take that stuffed animal, hug it, and nurture it. She lets her inner thoughts, her inner feelings be directed into a thing that is not expressed with words at that early age of life. She expresses it through playing with a stuffed animal. So it is that child, through playing like that and seeing the play of projection, begins to become aware of her feelings, of her thoughts, her needs that are within herself. This is projection. Because that stuffed animal is not actually feeling all those things. They are coming from somewhere. And it's from that inner life. We see it in so many ways. We see it in the child. We see it in the teenager who is attracted to an individual or a group that may then turn into an activity that teenager is enjoying doing. The child may play for a while that he's a fireman or an astronaut, working out what's unaware inside aspects that they may actually want to say, this is a part of me and I want to be it later and do it in life. They try it out and then either embrace it as a part of themselves or reject it as saying, this just doesn't fit. I don't really want to be a fireman. It's that letting it be seen in the outer world that you learn about yourself. We watch Bishop Robert Barron often, and he so often speaks about how he was attracted to priests and the priesthood, while his brother, who was just a bit younger than him, who raised in the same environment with the same parents, doing all the same things, had absolutely no attraction to the priesthood whatsoever. And yet there was an attraction to these, which is a projection of something he then later became as priest and bishop. He learned it. His brother didn't have that attraction and went on to do something else that spoke more about his soul. And there's an interesting words, because we often say it speaks to my soul rather than it speaks about my soul. Mm-hmm. Bishop John David Schofield had the same thing. After Mass as a child, he'd go home and get his little roll of Necco wafer candies and put them out on a plate and play that he was doing the consecration with his Necco wafers. That play said, I want to be this. This is a part of me. Not every child goes home and plays that they're the priest at Mass. What are you playing when you go out? What is it that starts to come forth from you that you see that's attractive in the world? We see this is a way of learning about ourselves throughout our life, and we can use it throughout our life in that same manner. We do it in our relationships. A person unaware and not in touch with their feminine aspects of their life and their soul will project them onto an outer woman and then be attracted to her. A person unaware of their masculine aspects will project them out to an outer man and then be attracted to him. The next step is to realize that a portion, and not the all, but a portion of that attraction is due to projection. It explains why people have such different tastes in whom they find attractive and beautiful. One person might go, what do you see in them? A part of that attraction, yes, is certainly real in another person, that other person is somebody that you like and want to be with. But a deep aspect is due to projection. And we recognize this when we ask the question, where is that now that I'm attracted to in me? And how do I then let it be lived out and become a part of my identity? That is exactly what God placed in us to help us grow into the people we are meant to be. Now, if I ever wonder, who am I and what does God want me to be and do? We're able to answer by saying, this seems to attract me now in a deep way. And then I begin to look into my own inner life about that so that the answer becomes more formed. But as with all good things, this obviously gets misused, even though it is misused unintentionally. God gives us all these little dynamics that we can use well or unintentionally badly. Another one is called denial. Denial is a very important and useful thing. Because as you've heard me say before, if without denial, I wouldn't cross the street. Without denial, I wouldn't leave the house. Why? Well, there may be something I'll trip over, and then there's going to be something right in front of me that I trip over, and then I crack my head open and I'm dead. I'm going to cross the street. It says walk. How do I can trust that the cars are actually going to stop? How do I trust that I'm not going to all of a sudden faint in the middle of the crosswalk? The semi's not going to see me, and they're going to roll over me, and I'm dead. All of these things we do in life because we're in a form of denial. Because what I just said could happen. It's just like I could win the lottery too. I don't spend money on it because I know I'm not going to. But I'm not going to die when I'm going across the crosswalk if I actually look. So, but I could. Denial is helpful. But when denial says I can drink as much as I want and so it'd be all right, no, misused. Projection's the same thing. In a small child, this dynamic gets misused, and the inner terror of being a little child in a huge world may be projected on a monster in the closet. The adult needing to get in touch with that inner masculine and feminine. If a man then seeks out a woman that kind of matches it, and then believes that outer woman is the thing they're truly desiring. It actually doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman seeking that feminine or masculine. If it's a man seeking the feminine, then it becomes a heterosexual relationship. If a woman, then it becomes a lesbian relationship. It's just the seeking of the inner feminine that was working, that created this. The error is that the other person is not really what is sought. It was projection. And when we stay unaware of it, we never truly love. Because we're in love with our own souls. And we demand of that other person that they be my projection. The same is true with our world today and the great era of the transgender movement. The positive is that if somebody feels, themselves to be contrary to their biological gender and sex, then it's a projection of an inner aspect that actually needs to be made conscious and dealt with. But the error is to take the projection of a soul content and then make it real in the body, where it can never be realized. It's a part of the soul that we've made concrete in the body, and it never can be fixed. The same would be in these things if you were a child and you were to never, ever recognize that your stuffed animal isn't real. One of the most profound places as well that we get into in the negatives is our negative judgments towards others. We look at another person or a group of people, and then we make a negative judgment. If we leave it at that, then we are actually stuck. and live stunted lives of disapproval, and never know true relationship and love. And so it is that Jesus taught us the way of awareness. He taught us the way of awareness that allows us to move into a true relationship of love. He taught us that what is in us is first known through projection. And so that we are called to recognize that projection, own it as our own, and then we can actually relate to the other person as a true other, truly loving. When we take that ideal, that Thomas Aquinas ideal of love, which is to truly desire the best of the other for the other, as the other, we have to allow them to truly be the other. Mm-hmm. And as long as they are the carrier of my projections, they're partly me. And I love them because I love me and I want me. But if I can actually do that deep spiritual work, which somewhere down the end, hopefully we make it to somewhere in the life before the resurrection, is certainly there in the life of the resurrection of the flesh. If we can truly actually withdraw our projections from them, now the other is the other and I can love them. Mm-hmm. Jesus says, wake up and become aware so that you can love. This is how he said it. Can the blind guide lead a blind person? Will not both fall into the pit? And so why do you see the speck in your neighbor's eye, but do not notice the beam or log in your own eye? Or how can you say to your neighbor, friend, let me take that speck out of your eye, when you yourself do not see the log in your own eye? Hypocrite. First, take the log out of your own eye, and then you will see clearly to take the speck out of your neighbor's eye. First, take the log out of your own eye. This implies that there are steps in love and relationship. First step, embrace your own soul with its good and its bad aspects. Something that you can embrace and learn through that projection, recognizing that it's likely a projection. And then the next step can happen, the second one. See the other person for who they really are. And now you'll know, do they really have a speck? Or was it just that thing that was in your eye that got thrown out? You ever tried looking through something like you have a little spot in your eye? You're going to go, no, it's like, there's spots in the air. No, they're out there in my eye. Okay. All of a sudden I recognize it's my own. I know there aren't spots out there. But if you get that beam out of your eye and you all of a sudden go, my eye is now clear, and you still have a speck, out of love, then I come to you. And then I'm going to be able to now truly speak the truth in love. Because it's truly about the best of the other person as the other. I'm not changing them for my benefit. If you see a person whom you're attracted, first ask, what is about them that it's really attractive, that might meet your own inner life? And as you own it, then you're letting the other person be them and loving them for them. If you see a person you reject and dislike, first ask what's in them that actually is you. It's your inner life that you've rejected and won't deal with. Own it, deal with it, and then you can see them for who they are and deal with them. And if they still have a speck, then you can deal with it. God gave us this gift of knowing ourselves through projection. Jesus is teaching us how to utilize that well. Learn of this, and carrying in your heart then and mind this thought, say to yourself, whenever these attractions and rejections come up. First, I need to take the log from my own eye. Where is this in me first? And I need to deal with it. This is truly the way of love. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.